Hi, a very good day to Encik Muhammad Zaini. My name is Xuen. Firstly, I will present the project background. So in India, roads are a vital means of transport. India roads never carry about 65% of freights and 85% of passenger traffic in India. National Highway of India account for only 2.7% of the overall road network, but carry roughly 40% of road traffic. Hence, roads and highway are important infrastructure to India. Next, the description of project. So this project is carried out on a case study about construction of national highway in India. National Highway Development Project is a multi-billion-dollar initiative to extend and modernize the nation roadways network of India. So India has 151,019 km of national highway as of March 2021. If we go right, illustrate the national highway maps in India. So for the plan selection criteria, there's three criteria that need to three principal consideration, which is the first, technical efficiency. In short, this identify the plans with the ability to perform the job. Next, the commercial and financial viability. For example, the cost of the equipment fall within the estimates for the specific project. Lastly, availability. So equipment can be supplied from a number of sources, for example, existing internal holdings, the higher market, or by additional purchase. So for the principle of selection, there are four categories, which the first category, which is requirement for new contract or group of contract. The second is the requirement for major new overseas contract. The third is the existing machine replacement. The lastly is the new development. So for the first category, in order to carry out the work in a more cost-effective manner, firstly comparing the mechanization with others more labor-intensive method of workings. Next, comparing alternative plant methods for a particular operations. So next, for the second category, requirement for major new overseas contract. Overseas contracts are often carried out in a remote area where the contractor is required to be self-sufficient. Therefore, requirements are usually met by purchasing new or second-hand, especially for the particular project. This equipment will then be maintained and operated totally at the expense of the project and will be sold on completion. The third category, existing machine replacement. So, it will be situation most likely to occur in a major construction company, a plant hire organization, a public authorities, and a process contractor. Each of these organizations will own a permanent fleet of equipment and will be able to generate sufficient utilization to warrant ownership. As a result of age or obsolescence, this fleet will have to be replaced periodically. So for new development, as from time to time, manufacturers produce new type of machine or new model within existing range. It's important to establish that the new equipment is either technically or commercially superior to previous alternative. The benefits should outweigh the cost of change, including items such as spare part and retraining. Okay, for next, the selection method and procedure can be categorized to two, which is the first, selection to meet the contract requirement, and the second, selection for purchase purposes. So for the first category, selection to meet contract requirement can be broken down into 6 separate stages. First, task identification. Second, preliminary selection. Third, machine output estimation. Fourth, machine matching. Fifth, output costing. And the sixth, final selection. So for the second category, commercial implication of ownership must be calculated. In order to establish a higher rate for the machine so that it can be charged to individual sites on the basis of usage. To enable the company to make a comparison between the cost of ownership and the cost of hiring in the equivalent item. Thank you, that's it for my part.
Hi doctor, my name is Liu Qilong and my metric number is BF40203. So now I will explain about the selection of plant. Before we talk about the selection of plant, we need to identify the construction activities in the road constructions. So the first construction activities is earthwork and then followed by transportation, leveling, concreting, lifting, and the last is asphalt paving. So for the earthwork, there are two equipment that we need to select is excavator and backhoe. Both of them look similar, however they are differ in size versatility, and rotations. The size of backhoe is smaller than the excavator. Excavator is involved in case study due to the high work efficiency, and it can shorten the construction period and thus reduce the cost. The activities involved in earthwork by excavator is site clearing and cut and fill activities. Next, for the transportation, load and loaded are provided. In this case study, truck will involve in this case study because it is no issue of load spilling, and it provides wide range of design options to suit project needs and is able to handle very heavy load. Next, for the leveling, the grader and bulldozer are involved in this case study. Bulldozers are used to push out the soil, rubber and sand, and grader used to create the flat surface. Next is the concreting. In this case study, there are several sections of the highway cross the river. Therefore, the precast bridge installation is required. So, to build the foundation, the concrete is required. So in here, we need to provide the concrete vibrator, concrete mixer truck, and batching plant. So the concrete mixer truck is used to transport concrete from the batching plant to site, and concrete vibrator is used to compact the concrete. So the next is the lifting work. The mobile crane is involved in this case study because it has a more higher mobility. And beside that, the crawler crane is used in the heavy work, so it is also not suitable to use in this case study compared to the mobile crane. So the mobile crane will lift the precast bridge and place it carefully at the correct location. Next is the asphalt paving. They are the equipment of roller, compactor, premix, paver machine, asphalt premix plant are included. The roller compactor is used to compact the soil. Premix paver machine is used to control the amount of material extruded on the base course and then flatten the surface. Asphalt premix plant is used to produce the asphalt concrete. That's all. Thank you, doctor.
Okay, my name is Chong, and I would like to present about the standard operation procedure or machinery in highway construction. So for the first one will be the excavator. There will be the start out and building process and shutdown process. So during the shut out process, the excavator operator shall ensure the steering frame rod installed in the unlock positions and sit on the driver's seat and adjust the seat for full driver control, and shall green and set all the review window. So besides, during the excavation of the roadside drain, the excavator operator should be familiar and understand the signal for signalman to stop and proceed the work to ensure the traffic flows smoothly on the particular route. So during the shutdown, the excavator operator should park the excavator on a level surface and shall engage the parking brake and ensure all the controls under neutral position. So for the next one will be a dump truck. During the start-up process, the dump truck operator should green and set all the review window and should secure the door and window in the preferred positions. So during the transporting the material from one location to another location, the dump truck operator should maintain the speed of vehicle at 20 km per hour and shall check and choose the safe location for loading and unloading materials. So during loading the dump truck bucket, the dump truck operator should monitor the load volumes by regular visual check. So, at last, during the shutdown process, the dump truck operator should park the dump truck on level solid surface and throttle the engine to either RPM and also engage the parking brake. For the next one will be the leveling machine, which is graded. So, during the start-out process, the motor grader operator should ensure the steering frame lock is stored in the unlock position And to grade the root surface to standard gradient, the motor grader shall operate the machine in a manual to establish the required shape and smooth surface to allow the water run off and away from the root body. So during the shutdown process, the motor grade operator should park the machine on the level surface and shall lower all the attachment to the ground. The operator should ensure they are safe. So for the next one will be the concrete plant, which is the concrete mixer truck. So for the SOP will be the check the fluid, lubricating oil, hydraulic oil, brake fluid, cooling waters before concrete mixing and transportations, and ensure all the quality is sufficient. And check the power output device and ensure that there is no loose board or oil leakage from the bearings. So this is for the concrete mixer truck. The next one will be the lifting machinery, which is the mobile crane. So during the starting and operating the crane, the operator should maintain a clear communication with the co-worker and good visibility at all times. Operate the crane only outdoor and in a well ventilated interior space. So during operation, always proceed carefully with the sufficient clearance to the electric power line nearby the building and also other construction. So during the shutdown process, we'll park the crane on front and level ground and keep set to basement, ditches, slope and other embankments. For the last one will be the premise plant, which is the roller compactor. During the startup process, the roller compactor operator should ensure the steering fan lock is stored in the unlocked position and shall sit on the driver's seat and adjust the seat for a full driver control. During the compression of the surface root base and start grade, the operator should set out the safety precaution and warning signals 30 meters both upper and lower sections of the root. So during the shutdown process, the roller compactor operator should park the roller compactor machinery on the level surface and should throttle the engine to the either RPM, and the roller compactor operator should lower the attachment to the ground and ensure that they are safe. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
So now I will explain about the plant planning control. So there are a total of 2 plant planning control, which is the operation control and then the financial control. So first, operation control is we need to issuing the requisitions and order to the company plant department or to outside higher companies, progressing orders to ensure that requirements are delivered on time, making arrangement for plant to be checked over on receipt. We need to make sure the machinery is in good condition and safe to operate. Then the second one is the financial control. The completion of fitters and drivers timesheet in order that they can allocate their time to particular item of equipment on which they are working. The allocation of purchase order for all spares and materials to specific cost codes. The recordings of the issue from stock or fields, example, and others to individual machines.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is RAMDZAN with metric number of AF170035. For this part, I will present about the safety measures before, during and after the handling of heavy machineries. Okay, for the first part, which is before, the operator should operate the machineries based on the manufacturer's or the operator's manual. They also need to be alert for all the safety signage and wear the necessary PPE such as safety boots and safety hats. He also needs to conduct the visual inspection to look for any leakage and to ensure that the machine is in the clean state. He also needs to check for any potential obstruction at the working area. Then, during the operating the heavy machineries, only one person are allowed to handle the machinery, and the operator should use the appropriate speed according to the job condition. Okay, for example, the operator should use the slow speed during conducting the during operating the machineries on the uneven surface. And he also needs to abide the designated rules and be mindful of the blind spot in order to prevent any accidents from happening. Then after the handling of heavy machineries, the operator should park the machineries at the designated place to ensure the safetyness and turn off the switch, and also lock the door of the heavy machineries properly. Hello, I will present about the general maintenance for the heavy machineries. Okay, for the first one is to ensure that all the attachments of the equipments are well lubricated for the equipment to function properly. And then for the number 2, to fill the oil tank of the machineries with the correct type of oil. This is because the wrong type of oil will affect negatively towards the equipment's performance and has increased the delay of time. We don't want that, right? Alright. For the third one is to check the cooling system daily, and next also needs to check the tracks attachment and tension daily if the machinery are heavily used in that period of time. And then the fifth one is to service the gearbox or engine regularly for the equipment to function properly and efficiently. Okay, for the sixth one is to clean the machinery with the pressure wash to remove any debris which potentially can cause the problem towards the machineries and hinder the performance of the machineries. Then for the last one is to conduct the maintenance based on the manual's instruction and requirement in order to prevent any problems and errors. Hi, I will present about the heavy machinery costs. Okay, firstly we made an assumption for our project because our case study is not include all these details. Okay, we assume several items such as expected life for all the machineries, operating condition, initial cost, salvage value, time cost, and operating hours. We expect that all the machineries in our project can be last to 10 years, and then the operating condition for all the machineries is at average. We use the currency of rupees, which is India's currency, because our case study is in India. In this case study, there are 12 types of machineries, and all the assumptions need to be made are tabulated in this table. Next, we calculate the cost through the two types of cost, which is owning cost and operating cost. Owning cost is divided into two, which is depreciation and investment cost. We calculate the depreciation through this formula, which is initial cost of the machineries minus with salvage value, and then divided by the expected life, and then we tabulate the book value. And then for the investment cost, we use this formula, which is initial cost plus with salvage value divided by 2, and also divided again with the equipment's life. For the operating cost, there are three types under the operating cost, which is fuel cost, repair cost, and tire cost in this project. And then for the fuel cost, we only obtain the factors for fuel consumption. These factors are obtained through the type of equipment and the load condition. Then for the next one is the repair cost. We calculate the repair cost through this table and this formula. And then for the tire cost also, we use this table and this formula in order to obtain the cost for this detail. And then the last one is, this is the table at the end of our calculation that we already summarized into one table. That's all from me. Thank you.
In conclusion, this project is study about a case study regarding the construction of national highway in India. For earthwork, excavator was chosen to carry out the excavation works. For transportation, dump trucks was chosen to move or load materials and transport to the site area. Graders and bulldozers were chosen as the plants for leveling purpose. Concrete batching plant was chosen to produce the concrete supply. Meanwhile, concrete mixer truck was used to transport concrete from batching plant to the sites. Next, the mobile crane was selected for lifting operation of the installation of precast bridges in the highway project. Lastly, the roller compactors, premix paver machine, and asphalt premix plants were chosen to conduct asphalt paving as the last stage of project. Thank you for lending me your ears.